part of what you covered dealt with repetition and load schemes.
Mhm.
And my question is this, I mean, powerlifters, they tend to do, higher loads, lower reps, and bodybuilders go through the gamut. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so one of the unique sort of aspects to what we did was we took the powerlifter approach, right? Where when you're looking at really strength-based high load, you're looking at 85% or more, right? And a lot of the high versus low literature only does 30 versus 80%, right? If we follow NSCA, it's 80% is an 8-rep max. So you're looking at that bottom end of hypertrophy, no matter what. So we want to kind of take it one step further. Let's actually put these guys in a high load group, like 6 reps or less every single set. And, we're looking to failure here. So these guys, I give them credit for a 9-week training study to come in 3 days a week. They did first sets for maybe 6 reps, second sets close to 4. That last set, they're burning out on 1 or 2 reps, right? So we really took the powerlifting approach. What's unique that we saw was from a practical strength side, high load increased strength across the board. The low load group also increased strength, not to the same degree. When we looked at hypertrophy, no differences. They all got bigger no matter what. And I think really one of the main drivers in this is every single set was performed to failure, right? So we're talking from a recruitment perspective, from a muscle damage perspective, we have failure occurring in both groups, which probably is why we saw that similar hypertrophy.
Darren, comments? In terms of how you train, high load, low reps?
I can't train low load. I got to train high load. I don't want to be in the gym forever.
Well, it sort of begs the question of, I think you've heard this before. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it.
Right.
The idea that if you can get hypertrophy with, 20 to 30 reps versus hypertrophy with 6 to 10 reps, why would you waste your time doing an exercise that takes 3 times as long? So what if you could get it with, 20 to 30 reps? To me, it never made sense, but the literature, and I don't know if you guys remember the literature going back to the 1960s, where I believe the gentleman's name was Richard Berger. He did all these sets and rep schemes going back, 50 years. And then now we see today, the idea that, playing around with these rep schemes, it seems like we end up going back to what seems to work practically or pragmatically, and that would be heavier weights. I mean, the old bodybuilder, or is it the power lifter adage, or bodybuilders, I guess, to get big, you gotta lift big. I mean, Darren, did you get big by lifting little and a lot of reps?
No, not at all. Certainly not in the initial stages.
And Tony?
No, I had a short lifting career where I really focused on it, but it was pretty heavy, 6, 8 rep range, maybe sometimes even lower, and it induced sufficient amount of hypertrophy. So then my question to both Darren, Dr. Willoughby here, and Dr. Bell would be, just as we talk about hypertrophy and the varying volumes and load rep ranges, then where are we looking in terms of the neural drive, right? Because the initial neural drive wouldn't be there in a lighter repetition or lighter load, but then there must be some type of intense drive in the subsequent loads, and it either way it balances out. Does that make sense? Would that be the case?
Yeah, it makes good sense. I think, this whole issue of muscle hypertrophy is so incredibly convoluted. In my opinion, it goes way further than simply just sets reps. And that is from the standpoint that, you're talking about heavy load where you're really, really intensifying the neural drive, but you also, in a higher volume approach, you also have the issues of time under tension, because their data showing that time under tension, and increasing the amount of time the muscle is contracting, positively stimulates muscle protein synthesis in that regard, But the other thing is you have to realize is that it's not always simply about muscle protein synthesis. And this is kind of my big hang up on a lot of these acute bout studies that, do one bout of resistance exercise and see an increase in muscle protein synthesis, whatever it is the stimulus is, nutritionally or whatever, and then begin hanging their hat on the fact that, it's going to create all this muscle hypertrophy down the road in regards to simply just if that individual were training using that particular paradigm, the session in, session out, whether it's coupled with some type of a supplement or whatever the case may be. And the other thing is that, we have to consider, Dr. Ricci, I know you'll understand this, is you have to understand the issue of simply just life. I mean, every day is not the same. It's not absolute blueprint of the day before. I mean, stress levels are different. Did we recover the same amount from the day before or the last workout for that particular body part? I mean, every day, like I said, it's not a blueprint. It's not a photocopy of the previous day or the previous workout. So that being said, it's, while I feel that there's a lot to be said for sets, reps and load. Again, I favor more of kind of a periodized type of approach where you have varying intensities and varying volumes over the course of time, where the muscle is being stimulated either high neural drive or high time under tension, or trying to find a midline for that, so that it's not just, again, it's not just the same workout time after time after time after time. I mean, just, modify as much as possible to try to, for instance, just try to strategize that muscle into growth as much as possible. So,
Got it.